Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche pregame show. We got the whole squad of 4 here today as the Avs are finishing up their road trip against the Tampa Bay Lightning. They currently sit at 1-3-2, or no, 1-3-1 on the road trip.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It's a 6-gamer. I can count numbers, math. Really could use that next win to go 2-3-1 and call the road trip not a disaster. Tampa. What are your guys' feelings on Tampa this year? They're kind of a weird team.
They're not as good in previous years, and then they've been hurt a lot this year. They've had to battle a lot of injury issues, so it's a bad combination. They're okay. Like, they're solid.
Yeah, I wouldn't call them bad by any stretch, but I also don't know that they're anywhere near a cup contender that they were a few years ago.
I think you would definitely call them bad relative to previous Tampa teams.
That's fair. I'm not going to argue with that.
I mean, you got longevity in Cooper, right?
Yep.
Behind the bench. Is he the number one right now? He's number one, right?
I think he is. It's
Mike
either
Sullivan
him or
here.
Sullivan, yeah.
Anyway, there's a familiar voice there. There's obviously the Stamkos been there for a long time, but Sergachev getting hurt the other day. Obviously, Vasilevsky being hurt at the start of the year. So you're right. This team has not been the same. They've lost a lot of depth over the years. With the Stanley Cups, right? You know, I mean, that's kind of what happens. But I wouldn't call them bad. Yeah, I agree. You know, like a Kucherov leads the league in scoring. There's some weapons there. Avs better be on their game. Those guys, I mean, both teams can score goals. I mean, it's going to be, and watch this is going to be a 1-0 game, but both teams can score goals, and it'll be interesting. I mean, they're not out of it, but obviously Sergachev getting badly hurt last week. That's not a good thing for their decor, and we'll see how they go down the stretch here.
They definitely have tried to keep up with having good depth, and so injuries have hurt them a little bit this year. But it's why I found Stamkos' comments around Kucherov and the Hart conversation interesting, because he seemed to suggest that MacKinnon has pieces around him that support him in a really superstar way, is maybe the way I'm trying to frame that. And Tampa has the best power play in the league because they have a lot of superstars on that top unit that are really prolific. And one, that makes them then a team that, like everyone is saying, the Avs shouldn't underestimate still, but their scoring is spread out a little bit more throughout their forward group than the Avs could only dream of right now. It's still really top-heavy in Rantanen and MacKinnon, but that is something that is a strength of Tampa Bay, is getting some offensive contributions a little more spread out throughout their lineup.
It's interesting when you look at both teams, especially with the Sergachev injury. I think you look to the Avs defense tonight. Victor Hedman's having a great year, renaissancing his career, whatever. After that, Tampa's D runs dry pretty quick, particularly when you're comparing them to a Makar, a Taves, a Byram, a Girard. The Avs should have the advantage in that category at least, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Just checking with that one. Behind that defense, though, Justus Annunen is getting back in net tonight for Colorado. Are we at the point, obviously, we won't talk about it on the pregame, but there was the whole Jake Allen situation today. Is there still an avenue for Annunen to pick up this backup job this season, or is he just filling a hole until the Avs do whatever they do?
I mean, I don't think that there is.
Okay.
I just think it's too late in the year. I mean, you're too close to where the deadline is. There's still too many question marks. Even if he plays fantastic over the course of the next month, not even a month, we're talking 3 weeks at this point.
3 weeks,
are you really like? Do you really fully buy into the idea, even if he has a great 3 weeks? In those 3 weeks, how many games does he play?
3, 4.
I was gonna say 3 to 5.
Yeah,
somewhere in that range. It's just not enough time at this point for him to really convince the Avs that is not an area where they should try to do something. Whether they do it or not, I don't know, but
Sure.
I just don't think there's enough time left.
It still feels important for Annunen to have a good showing because it's an audition for his future in Colorado
sure.
past this season.
Absolutely.
Just looking at losing his waiver exempt status at the end of this year, the Avs do still need to make decisions about his usage, and I agree with AJ that I don't think he's vying for the backup position realistically at this point.
Okay.
But I don't think it's an accident that he's getting the Tampa game. That's an extremely difficult competition. He has not allowed fewer than 4 goals so far in this year, and they're a middle-of-the-pack shooting team with deathly accuracy. So he's going to have a challenge ahead of him in net tonight, and hopefully the Avs also support him as well. But it's still important, but I agree with AJ. I don't think he's vying for that backup spot at this point.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
I was just going to say I think it's fair enough, and you're exactly right. More of an audition for next year than anything else, most likely.
Well, whenever you step on the NHL ice, you're auditioning, right? You know, that I don't care if it's practice, I don't care if it's training camp, I don't care if it's rookie camp, as we saw with Malinsky. You know, my take on him, Baby Yui there, you know, he's still a young pup. You know what I mean? Like, for goalie years, he's still young. What's he at? Is he 23 now?
I think
23.
that sounds
23.
right.
So,
Yeah.
It's a big body. It's an athletic body that moves well for a big boy. I was talking to someone 2 days ago, and they're like, "Oh yeah, but look at Hayden Hill. Like, you know, didn't really, you know, was like the 4th guy for the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't know. Hayden Hill was a 7th year pro. There's a big difference. You know what I mean? Goaltending, when you're not a Carey Price or whatever it is, it usually takes 5-6 years for you to find your groove, find your way around the National Hockey League. So I like him. I still like him. I saw some people on Twitter today disappointed he was playing. I'm actually excited. I like him. Do I think he's ready for that position? No. Do I think that he'll be ready by next year? Yes. That's if the Avalanche and the coaching staff like him by then. I feel that right now it's not a question of not liking him. It's a question of, is he in a position to succeed right now? Doesn't look like it. You know, because he was injured. You know, he didn't play enough games, like we're all saying right now, to warrant that. Okay, this is our insurance policy. If something goes down, we have one of the greatest teams in the National Hockey League, and if something happens to our starter, then this is our plan. That's why, I don't know if you want to get into it later, but this is why, you know, the Jake Allen, he couldn't make it on time today for the game. Is that what happened? Sorry. No, I'm kidding. It's sarcasm. But that's why Jake Allen, Fleury, guys like that make sense. It's a level of protection, and even if Annunen is lights out tonight, he does not bring that blanket with him to the team. You know, of feeling good in that insurance. Like, hey, if it is what it is, like last year, Vegas, 4 guys deep, you know what I mean? And they're like, well, this is it, Hayden Hill. And then all of a sudden, cross your finger, and the guy delivers, and he was lights out. He was awesome, and he's carrying it this year. That's great. I just don't think Eustace could ever do that right now.
Fair enough. I'll leave it there. Someone might have more to say in our eaters, or maybe not.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, let's get to your 3 keys, E.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what you got to do at, what is this, day 12 of this road trip?
Yeah, this is like,
Feels like day 500.
hopefully they packed enough underwear and socks. But if you're smart, though, you bring it to the rink and you slide it into your laundry mesh bag of hockey stuff. That's what the veteran guys do, you know? They know how to do it.
You end up with a lot of pink clothes at the
Yeah,
on
but no,
a
but
road
I'm
trip
talking
or
about
two?
socks and underwear. You know, it's kind of
Okay,
nice.
all right. Fair
Anyway,
enough.
for
Okay,
you
what
young
color
guys
those
listening, you know, for the young guys listening, it's a Wily vet trick there. Just saying, until the equipment guys figure it out, and then they're like, "What are you doing?" All right, let's go. Number 1, check. You know, check. You hear Bednar talk about it all the time. Check when you're in the offensive zone. Check in the neutral zone. Tampa can score most goals in the Eastern Conference, so be above pucks all night, right? If you don't know what that means, it's to make sure you're on the right side, the correct side of the puck. Not the right side, meaning the left or right, but the correct side of the puck. I got a story later on this one. I'll wait for the watch along you're going to die. Apply yourself with the details. You hear that lately from Bednar last couple of days, details, and especially with the weapons. Weapons beware on that side, right? So number 2, smart puck possession. Tampa can transition with pace, right? So own the blue lines. That is a given any given night, but especially tonight. You got the leading scorer in the National Hockey League, Know who you're up against. Don't mess around with pucks. This is the end of a road trip. You're tired. You're mentally tired. You want to get home. Don't diddy-daddle with the puck at the blue line if there's no play there, right? Play deep tonight. Play below the goal line. I do believe it's important to make their D's turn, to make their D's toes point the back of the net and not at Justus Sandinen. Make them turn. Number 3, create chaos. It's going to fall into my eater later on the Circle K. Last game of this monster roadie. Empty your tank. Empty it. Don't save any energy tonight. Dig. Leave tonight feeling good as a team, even though the road trip, you win this one. I wouldn't call it a successful road trip. I wouldn't call it a disastrous road trip, but it would be like a road trip that was struggling at times, and then you finish good with back-to-back wins. Then at least you feel good about yourself getting on the plane tonight and getting home and getting back in front of the Avs faithful, that ball arena there Sunday.
Is there a world where they feel good tonight if they don't get a win?
No.
Okay. Gotta have it.
I mean, you're going 1-5-1. I mean, whatever it is, 1-4-1
if they lose.
I would be like, man, that's a tough one. Especially for the standards of this team.
Yeah.
Florida was their gimme. They really dropped the ball there. So,
the way it goes sometimes, unfortunately. But, they can get revenge on the state of Florida. That counts, right? Yeah. That's sort of the same. You kind of mentioned the chaos line. I don't want to steal your thunder on your who's going to eat pick. But the Avs might have to channel a little bit of Florida man in this one. Let the chaos reign a little bit here. This is a team, certainly, when you look at the depth of their lineup, they seem to thrive in a little bit of a wild hockey game, a little bit of craziness going on. And it's tough for me, especially when you have someone like Annunen in net. Do they have to just accept who they are a little bit, the Avs, and play a crazy game at times? Or is it important to, as we've talked so much about, tighten those screws a little bit in a game like this? Who wants to take it?
I'll go third.
I'll go.
Tighten the screws.
Okay.
You need to, defensively, they really need to start picking it up a full level, I think.
All right.
So I would say that should be their focus for the remainder of the season.
2 or less on the menu?
Yeah.
Okay.
Play, it doesn't matter which goaltender is in net. Annunen, Georgiev, Prosvetov, the guy that they trade for in a few weeks, whatever. Does not matter. The defensive details need to start to pick up. They need to tighten the screws on defense in particular.
Okay.
I think offensively, that with this team, it tends to just kind of take care of itself in time. And I think if knowing that they have serious potential reinforcements on the way over the next couple of months, I'm less concerned about it. Defensively, this is the personnel that they probably go into the postseason with.
Yep. Whether that's Molinsky or Johnson on any given night, whatever.
Exactly. So I just don't think that there isn't. You're not looking at that position and saying, okay, there's a personnel change on its way.
Yep.
Assuming that there isn't, this group needs to pick it up. It needs to play better. It needs to. We talked about Bo Byram last game. He had a great game. More of that, please. You'd like to see the top pairing have a couple more top pairing-ish nights.
Yep.
Feels like they're a little too mortal right now. But I think that's where I start with tightening the screws.
Okay.
I think the reason it was difficult for me to immediately answer the question is I was confused by it. Because in accepting who they are, I think that requires a team to tighten the screws. Who they have been lately is not who I think they are. And honestly, at this point in the season too, these are habits that just really can't afford to be in their game, especially the defensive errors. It's a team that is better than what they've shown lately. And looking at the whole of the season, part of accepting who they are has been accepting that they have not had all of the players available to them that they thought they would. So I do agree that they need to accept that component. There's no Logan O'Connor. There's no Val Nichushkin. Those are important pieces in their forward depth and forward group on the whole, that you don't want it to be just a one-line team. But right now it does feel kind of like a two-line team. But when you look at how much money is put into their D-core specifically, you do expect them then to have fewer defensive gaffes. And
Yep.
that is why I think it's fair to say tighten the screws there, because they're touted as some of the best D in the league, and I stand by that. I think they have all the pieces to make that statement remain true. And it's gotten better in some ways. We still haven't really seen Makar and Taves look quite like themselves. It's not a disaster, but they haven't looked quite like themselves. And so there are areas for them to tighten the screws, like you said.
Well, my take is we all know that this year, like, there's been stretches where we laugh all the time. They give up, like, maybe a shot or two every 12 minutes. It's crazy. You know, listen, they have the championship pedigree. They know how to play. They know how to get results. Start of the year, there was a few new guys. You know, it took them a little bit of time to adjust to, you know, how they want to play. Do I think they know how to play? Do they know how to have a success? Yes. The one thing I'll say, though, and I agree, it's tightening the screws, and, you know, that was the keys last game, right? Tighten the screws. The one thing I'll say, though, is come playoff time, we all know that sometimes teams will throw a wrench into the equation, and they'll want to play a different style, like, you know what I mean? And they'll change, and they're like, you know what, that's it. We're going to play a brawling game. We're going to play a Hudson Bay rules or a track meet, whatever you want. The Avs can do, and they can adjust to that. You know what I mean? If you're stupid enough to want to play, I don't care if they only have 2 lines, you want to play a track meet with Makar, MacKinnon, Rantanen, hey, bring it on. So if I'm the Avs, you got to adjust to that, and it's like, oh, you really want to open it up? I'll open it up with you, and I'll kick the shit out of you. And they will. You know what I mean? And that's where I think Bednar and his staff are smart enough to let the reins go loose a little bit sometimes. You know what I mean? And but you don't want to be the team initiating that. I think the Avs have showed the last couple of years, they have shown that they can do it any style you want it to be done, especially now. I think this year they have the chaos, right? You know, wait till Val's back, and, you know, the Woods and guys that are tough to play against and a pain in the ass. Colton, I don't want to forget AJ's buddy. And then Logan, and, you know, has matured so much. So they can do it any style you want it to be. So they can adapt to that. But I think you're right. On a game like tonight, 6th game of a long road trip, don't be a hero. Tighten up the screws. Get out of there, pick up the 2 points, and go home.
So maybe less Florida man wrestling Gators and more Steve Irwin wrestling Gators.
I'll wrestle.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Let's get into who's got to eat. Hopefully you're not getting eat by the Gator, and you're getting your eats at Circle K. I'll go first here because I don't know that anyone else will choose my guy. I want to see Jonathan Drouin continue to play well. Played super well the other night. Did not get rewarded with points, similar to what you guys were talking about with Bowen Byram. The reality of the Avs missing a Val, LOC not being in the lineup. A guy like Drouin has to be playing well for them, for their forward core to keep up, particularly when Jared Bednar might be putting Leckie on that top line. If Drouin can continue to be effective down the lineup, that gives the Avs a whole lot more flexibility in their forward core. So I would like to see it out of Drouin. Who's going second?
I'll take Justus Onanen.
I love it. Love it.
I've long been a believer. I'm going to continue to be a believer. I want to see him get opportunity. I like that he's getting the chance to play tonight.
Get it while it's good.
Yeah, he's my guy.
I'm really glad you chose Eustace because I wanted to pick Ross Colton, but I didn't want to snipe you. And it is because the last Tampa game was just okay for him, and he was sick. I think people need to know that he was playing very sick, and it's a little bit of a chance then against his former team to really demonstrate, one, just how much he's grown since coming to Colorado. I think that he has stepped into the role as the second line center, at least for now, as well as he could. And I really want to see him impress in front of his former team. So I'd like to see him meet tonight.
I'm going to follow up with that one, too, and then is Woody, right? I mean, you know, that was one of my keys, chaos. He was good, part of this road trip. I think he needs to be great tonight, especially with Val. Logan not there. Those are big pieces. He needs to bring that energy. He needs to bring that momentum. He made some great passes to Russ their last game. And then just to add to Ross Colton, when you're going back to the building where you've been for so many years, it's a weird feeling. You're going down the wrong hallway. You're going down the wrong dressing room. You know what I mean? When I say wrong, is the dressing room you're not used to. And there is that factor of playing your former team. Yeah. But on top of it, you don't want to try to do too much. You know what I mean? So, and I think if Wood's on top of his game tonight, that's why I'm picking Wood as my Circle K dog eater. He can really help calm the nerves down for AJ's best friend, Ross Colton.
Colton, the guy tightening the screws. Wood, the guy running into stuff, maybe.
Love it.
He's the one constantly loosening the screw. Colton is retightening it. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I assume we probably don't have thoughts on this, but I want to touch on it just to say that we can. Tampa, new third jerseys tonight. Does anybody care?
They look like Colorado Thunderbirds jerseys.
They're black, right? I saw that.
They are black, yes. They have a circular logo.
Yeah.
I actually didn't mind the jersey. I thought the logo was a little bleh for me. But
I think they look cool. I still don't care.
I don't care either.
saw that come in.
It's a big building, though. Maybe they'll care.
Don't buy a Tampa
Big
third
building
jersey.
mass.
Buy some Circle K snacks instead. Get over to your local Circle K. Get a part of the Inner Circle. Go to circlek.com/Inner Circle today to get a bunch of amazing rewards, including things like 25 cents off a gallon for your first 5 fill-ups and up to 5 free Polar Pops. So go check them out. Go get in the Inner Circle. Moving along quick here. Let's get to my bets next. I did not take the X-Player Curse bet with Ross Colton. Probably a good one to take if you don't like mine. But I took the Avs to win. They're plus money. You just don't get the Avs plus money very often, even if it is going to be a tough one at the end of a road trip. I took my Eater and Druin to pick up an assist. He's plus 180. Would love to see him carry that good play forward. And then I took Cale Makar, last goal scorer. Look, there's a pretty good chance that dude's going to be out there if the Avs have a
That
lead
is a
late.
sick bet.
Plus 1,800 for Cale to dump one into the empty net. Why not?
Why not?
Why not give it a go? Have a little fun with it sometimes. Hopefully the Avs can put themselves in that situation. When you're doing your betting, make sure you use code DNVR365 at Bet365. When you get in with just $5 on an NHL game, they'll give you $150 in bonus bets. So you can go ham on a plus 1,800 like a Cale last goal scorer. Or you can keep it simple with a Ross Colton goal against his ex-team. Either way, they got you covered with Bet365. You can get their app with the QR code on screen right there. When you do, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Less than 10 minutes here till puck drop, roughly. Any final thoughts on this game? Anything you guys want to touch on? For me, get 2 days off after this. It's the end of the road trip. No reason to not empty the tank tonight.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's an Eastern game, so you're not getting home that late. It's not that bad.
You'll be home by like 11, yeah.
In the house, like, you know, I mean, still, it's not like you're getting home at 5 in the morning. How's
That's
that?
true.
You know, and then you got a day off tomorrow, get to work the next day, so there's no excuse of coming back home with that long first game back after a road trip, which is a valid excuse. I use it all the time. I tell people, go bet on the other team because it usually works. But this one, there's 2 days off. It's out the window. So, you know what? Empty your tank tonight, and you should be good to go for Sunday.
Love it. All right. We are going to wrap up this pregame show. We do have a watch along coming your way. If that's your thing, join us and listen to Eric tell ridiculous stories the whole game.
Yeah.
Or at very least, join us for postgame. We'll break down whatever happens on tonight's game. We appreciate y'all, and we will talk to you in a few minutes.
We all silly like the mayor.